American half pound of sweet pure beef patty, lettuce, tomato.
Singles going steady.
This is Singles Going Steady, the podcast dedicated to exploring great singles with a particular eye to the punk, new wave, and DIY eras of the last century. I'm Adrienne Meddock.
And I'm Steve McGowan. We are in a band, the Beef People, who released a single in 1986 on our own label, Zub Records. We are record collectors and passionate especially about the expression of pop music perfection that is the single recording. Exploring the mystery of what makes for a great single is what propelled us to begin this podcast. This is Singles Going Steady 030 Spud Boys. We are going to talk about Devo and their unbelievable cover of I Can't Get No Satisfaction from 1978.
And it is sort of unbelievable that it's a cover, because this is a cover that's not really a cover.
Right.
This is a cover that's a deconstruction, reinterpretation.
It's so deconstructed you can hardly see the original in it.
Right. The lyrics
Yeah, yes, that's about it. The riff is not there.
Right. And so I'm not really sure what of the... There's certainly, it's been stripped of melody.
Yes.
And I'm not sure what's left of the music of the Rolling Stones.
Well, should we listen to just a little bit of the Rolling Stones version to refresh our memory?
Yeah, so just a little taste of that, and then you'll see what has been torn away.
Rolling Stones from the mid-'60s, their version of I Can't Get No Satisfaction. Okay, you probably remember that song. It's a kind of a
staple of
Chestnut, Warhorse.
Yes.
And so again, talking about Devo, this is kind of the ultimate Devo thing. They just compacted throughout, minimalized, totally. I don't know what they did to this song, but they did something to it.
Because they're really performance artists.
Absolutely.
And they're sort of taking on notions of what rock and roll is and
what it isn't.
and rejecting it.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely rejecting it.
Yeah.
Remaking it in their own image.
And so let's actually listen to it. This was originally released in 77 on their own label, and then when they signed to Warner Brothers in 78, they re-recorded it with Brian Eno producing, and they released it as a single, and that's what we're going to hear now. Devo in 1978 doing I Can't Get No Satisfaction.
Without getting too much in sort of the Byzantine world of the rites behind the song, because the lyrics are the most recognizable sort of element of the Rolling Stones song, Devo had to get permission from the lyricist, Mick Jagger, to have this version to be able to record it included on the Warner Brothers first album.
Tell us about, very, very briefly, about your dream about Mick Jagger.
Okay, so
what was it? What was his catchphrase?
Well, briefly, the scene was I was on a walk and stumbled upon the royal wedding procession. This would have been they were walking with the Queen and the family and some corgis.
The corgis
walking around the high school track near my house, as you would, because of course that was their second stop.
Yes, the royal track.
Right, yeah. Ooh, we have to walk some of this cake off or whatever. So they were walking around the corner, and somehow Mick Jagger was suddenly with me because, royal wedding.
Yes.
And he kept trying to tell all these really corny jokes. And he kept putting his hands on his hips, as he's wont to do, and going, I'm such a wag. I'm such a wag. I'm such a wag. And winking. And then I was sort of horrified by this dream. It's just a snippet of it. And I woke up that morning and saw an article about how Mick Jagger told dad jokes. So I was like, it's true. It's all so true. Come true.
I wonder if he said, I'm such a wag to Devo.
I'm such a wag. Well, because he's a wag, I think he enjoyed.
Right.
He loved this version.
Yeah, they said he danced around the hotel room when he heard it.
So he was pleased. And obviously the rest is reinterpreted rock history.
What I'm figuring is he imagined how angry Keith Richards would be when he heard it, and that made him happy. So this is just a bizarre. I mean, it's Devo. It's Devo at their performance art best. We were just watching the video when they're wearing their yellow rubber suits with the Devo on them, and they have the guitars that have all kinds of weird things taped to them, and they're like performance artists.
Electronics and parts and
crazy
duct tape.
Yes, everywhere.
Yeah.
And excuse me, the first album is called Q Are We Not Men, A Are We Are Devo. And it has the very iconic cover,
which is this lovely drawing of famous golfer
Chai Rodriguez.
Chichi Rodriguez.
Who kind of looks like a mongoloid in the cover.
It's a very strange drawing, and I guess it's sort of it's one depiction of masculinity is my interpretation.
It's beyond my ken.
Sort of like my art history roots. This is depicting modern man, and one view of masculinity. The professional athlete, and it's
playing
very
8 or 9 holes.
Yes. A golfer.
And that is just the album. The first Devo album is just a mind wrecker. I mean, it's got so many great songs on it. They're so weird and so fun and catchy, and produced by Eno. Bowie was a big fan, and he wanted to produce them, but he was busy, and he got his pal Eno to do it. They are from Akron, Ohio?
Akron, Ohio.
Yeah. The opposite end of
super
Dayton, right?
industrial. Mm-hmm. I guess we can draw a parallel to some of the industrial bands rising out of the industrial wasteland of northern England. Here we have the industrial wasteland that was,
Akron.
Late 70s northern Ohio.
Right, and the
blimps had flown away.
So Devo had their whole backstory and their manifesto, the truth about de-evolution, and they were true artists, and they stuck to their guns. They always wore their outfits. They towed the party line, wrote a bunch of crazy songs, and they never really stopped. They were definitely an institution.
I was going to say it was super shocking to see their success with Whip It, just because they were so uncompromising.
Right. They just fell into that, I think. It was just
and I can remember when the first album came out, and they had, the helmets.
The flower pot heads.
Yes. And my brother and I went to our local Woolworths and bought the stepped flower pots and wore them around the mall, right? Look, we are Devo.
Look, we are punk rockers.
Exactly. At the Signal Hill Mall in Statesville, North Carolina, the hotbed of the new
Devo.
wave.
Yeah. So I didn't get to see Devo until much later on the New Traditionalist album. We had talked about Mission to Burma. That was the same night I saw Mission to Burma. They played at the Fox, and they had quite an elaborate stage. They had moving sidewalks that they were all on, and they really put out a good show. It was very little guitar going on. It was mostly synthesizers, but they gave you value for money on the entertainment end of it. Did you ever get to see them?
No, but I saw Mother's Ball play a kids show.
Yes.
At Moogfest, they did an outdoor event with DJ Lance Rock from Yo Gabba Gabba and Bootsy Collins. It was awesome. It was like all your favorites in one spot.
No drugs needed for that.
So I was like walking 3 paces behind all of those guys.
Wow.
One at a time. They were all going off and grabbing Cokes, and it just happened to be, it's like I'm walking in the footsteps of Bootsy. I'm walking in the footsteps later of Mark Mothersbaugh, and it's like, this is so cool.
All right, so that's Devo. This is I Can't Get No Satisfaction, just kind of a really big deal single for 78, kind of the the launching of the new wave, because this is not really punk, it's art punk.
Yes.
And it's a whole new thing. Devo is Devo, and
it's intellectual, it's thoughtful,
it's out of its mind.
but in a studied way.
Yes. Now, we were looking at people who had covered this. It was Otis Redding did Satisfaction.
Right, because, of course, this is a rock standard.
Yeah.
Otis Redding, Aretha.
Yeah. I wouldn't try to cover this after Devo.
No, that's the definitive reinterpretation. Speaking of the definitive reinterpretation,
yes.
We were reminiscing about how this song really didn't have a connection. This interpretation really isn't musically connected to the melody or really
it doesn't use the guitar riff from the Stones.
The recognizable signatures of Satisfaction really are pretty absent from the Devo cover. And we sort of had the same thing happen in my second band, Bloom.
Right.
We were just messing around and this riff came out and I was like, God, that really reminds me of Space Junk.
Right.
And so we sort of did the same thing to Space Junk that they had done. we had our reinterpreted version of Space Junk that just shared lyrics and maybe crossed occasionally with melodic elements.
I remember
Space
that.
Junk.
That was very good.
Yeah, and it just named cities for a while. And
where the Space Junk was falling.
Yeah, and you just kind of name local sites and then you end.
Yep.
And go beep, 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 beep. I had to borrow that too.
I have a recommendation. Of course, we've been talking about Devo, and I strongly recommend the first two Devo records. They're all good, but Q Are We Not Men and the second one, Duty Now for the Future, is maybe even a little weirder than the first one in some respects. And if you like that weird art, music, punk, Devo is definitely the way to go. Do you have a recommendation?
I would say Mark Mothersbaugh has had this rather distinguished second or third act as a composer, particularly for children's shows. And on Yo Gabba Gabba, he actually draws. So he has a little segment where he draws on Yo Gabba Gabba. So... it's not just for kids. In fact, kids should get out of the way and let us watch it. So you should watch it if you haven't already.
Okay, good recommendation. This has been Singles Going Steady, number 030, talking about 1978, Devo and their cover of the Rolling Stones, I Can't Get No Satisfaction. It's been great talking with you, and we will see you next time.
We'll see you next time.
To learn more about the artists and recordings we just talked about, visit our website at zubrecords.com and click on the Singles Going Steady icon.
You'll also find links to the persons, places, and things we recommend, and much more.
You can find episodes of Singles Going Steady on our website or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Singles Going Steady is brought to you by the power and majesty of Zub Records. Zub Records. Smart sounds for sharp people.